Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome. It's Friday today, almost the end of February, and pretty much the end of my school year at my university job. I'm entering my 5-week spring vacation. It's very nice. Basically the whole month of March. I don't have to be at the university. A little bit at the very, very end of March to prepare for my April classes. As you know, if you follow this channel, the Japanese school year starts in April. And so a lot of junior high schools and JET ALTs, etc., are not quite done yet. They work until about mid-March. They have graduations, and the younger students who aren't graduating stay in school a bit longer. But here at the university, we just had final exams, and I turned in my grades this week. And all the students are pretty much gone. They have these they call them intensive classes, where it's like they go from like 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. like 4 days in a row. And they get in guest lecturers, and they do this really intense, and they get some amount of credit for it. So some of them are on campus doing that, but it's pretty quiet here right now. So I was just perusing the newspaper this morning, and a few things caught my eye, and I just thought I'd pass them on, just kind of a discussing world events, but really not world events, Japan events vlog. Well, right off the top, one thing that's buzzing around Twitter and Facebook among us expats that live here in Japan is the fact that yesterday an ALT in Fukuoka in Kyushu was arrested for possession of marijuana. And I don't know all the details, and the only article I saw was in Japanese, so I couldn't quite read everything about it. But basically, I don't think he's a jet. But I haven't heard more from people yet. He's 25, according to the article. He's from America. It's a guy, and I don't know exactly what happened to bring suspicion upon himself. But they went to his home, and they searched, and he had like marijuana just lying out there on his table. So. That reflects badly, of course, on everybody. And I guess the only real reason I bring this up is that if you plan, if you're a jet and you're a hopeful and you just did your interview, just know that, there's zero tolerance policy for drugs in Japan, nothing. There's even like over-the-counter stuff that you can get in America, like NyQuil and stuff. Well, I think NyQuil they just changed, but it used to be, certain, prescription type stuff you couldn't bring in. So, yeah, no pot in Japan unless you just want to, be sent home. There really is zero tolerance for drinking and driving here too, which is, you either have to, get a taxi home after a party, or have someone drive you home that hasn't been drinking. But it's literally very, very, very strict. So just something to throw out there so you know. The thing that caught my eye in the newspaper today, the Daily Yomiuri, was just the total number of residents that are foreign. They had this story, and just to give you some idea of how homogeneous Japan is, and the country that you'll be moving to if you're a jet hopeful. They just released, like they did a census, the total number of foreign residents in Japan was 2,078,480 at the end of 2011. And the reason this made the paper is that's down 55,000 from the previous year. Now, the obvious reason is what happened last year with the tsunami, earthquake, and ongoing Fukushima problem. The biggest drops, it's no surprise, were in Iwate, Miyagi, and Fukushima prefectures. They took like 20%, 15% dips in their foreign population, meaning that foreign residents that lived in those places left, and a lot of them left Japan entirely. So it was the third straight year that the number of foreigners has gone down. So it's not like it just happened because of the tsunami. It had been declining, but this is a little bit more of a drastic drop. The peak was 2008. And the other thing that was interesting in this article is the top 3 nationalities of people that live here or I guess the most populous segments that aren't Japanese. And I think we've gone over this before, but I'll give you a second. Would you like to guess? Okay, I'll tell you. The largest group of foreigners, with about 675,000 registered residents in Japan, is Chinese. I don't think that's any huge thing. The second group, Koreans. People from Korea, 545,000. Third group, I think, might surprise some of you, Brazilians. There's this thing where there's a large population of Japanese that went over to Brazil to, take over farms and set up a lifestyle over there. And so if you have a Japanese relative and you're in Brazil, you can come over here and get a visa to work. And some of the car companies like Toyota especially, I think, hire quite a few Brazilian immigrants. So they make up a large percent of the population. And actually one student I know, we don't offer Portuguese here at my university, but it is becoming a more popular language for people to study because there is a need for helping these people assimilate to Japan because they're coming here to live in an even more permanent way than a lot of Westerners do. Because a lot of us come and live here 3 or 4 years and then go back. We don't really have designs on living here for the rest of our lives. Where some of these Brazilian people, they either intermarry or they come over with plans to settle here. And so it's a whole question that's faced, people in California when you're dealing with Latino immigrants in California, for instance. How much outreach do you give them? Do you offer classes, say, for their children that are both in Portuguese and Japanese to ease them into learning kanji and learning the language? Health services, things like this. Do you have Portuguese translators available, etc.? So, yeah, Brazilians, 210,000 Brazilians live in Japan. So that whole number, that just over 2 million foreign residents out of a nation of about 120 million people, you can do the math. It's like less than 2%. It's like 1.5% of the population of Japan is not Japanese. It's a very, very, very small number. So you can see, like, if you're talking about, people from America, especially if you take out the military, it's a very, very small number of people that live here. And I think I've said this before, JET is actually the biggest group of North Americans in Japan if you don't count the military that are stationed at the bases. And there's only, like 4,000 Americans and Canadians, I think, that are in JET right now. So you will be by yourself sometimes in some of the rural communities where you'll be placed. You'll literally be the only non-Japanese person around. And, it's not going to happen. You're not going to feel it if you end up living, say you want to go study abroad and you want to go to Tokyo or Osaka or somewhere. Of course, there'll be lots of other gaijin around, but, out here where I am, there's about, it's like I know everybody that's not Japanese practically. There's about 20 of us, I think, in a town of about, I don't know how many people are in my town. My town's not that small, actually, if you count all the surrounding areas. It's maybe 50,000. I'd have to find out. But anyway. So, and then just the tail end of this, so I'll get it under 10 minutes, is crime. The number of crimes by foreigners dropped. Well, not too surprising. The biggest crime, fake marriages. I don't quite know all the details about that because they don't really go into it. But, yeah, 15% from 2010 to about 10,000 times people were arrested and blah, 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 and questioned, arrested, sent into prosecution. So, and I mean, the number of Japanese people that commit crimes far, far, far outweighs the number of foreigners who do. Okay, anyway, that's my 10 minutes. Thanks for watching. Another video next week. Peace. Have a good weekend. See ya.